Today I want to talk about a big thing that people are talking about more and more. Specifically, how successful people say that money doesn't bring you happiness. I think this is a good thing, but if you haven't seen it, there's a lot of celebrities, successful people coming out, whether through their own YouTube channels or interviews, or people just creating mashups of sometimes dozens, hundreds of these people revealing this. But I think it's a good thing because it kind of introduces something that we need to hear more of. In fact, it's one of my missions to really spread this info more because I think so many young people don't know about it, and it kind of sucks because American society in particular can definitely program you, sometimes unintentionally, to think that the more money you make, the more happiness you have. So I want to talk about my thoughts and opinions on this and some certain recent people who have kind of discussed this and come out about it. And the first is Justin Can, who is the founder of Twitch. If you don't know, he has a YouTube channel. He has 100,000 subscribers already on it. He's pretty new to the game, but doing very, very well on there. And perhaps rightfully so. He has a lot of credibility based off building and selling Twitch to Amazon and making a lot of money from it. And then going on to do other tech business stuff, most of which we haven't really kept up with. But he's definitely coming from it from a more spiritual place, from a place of kind of hard knocks, as in learning it the hard way, making a lot of money, spending a lot of money, sometimes frivolously, and then kind of learning that it didn't make him much happier. Now, this is such a common story for me in particular, being a personal development YouTuber and someone who has read hundreds of books, maybe over 500 books, biographies, and thousands of interviews, videos, and talks of successful people. But for the average young person, for the entire generation, it may be something that they've never heard of before. And if you only look at mass media or what you see on Instagram, you may just think, wow, that guy seems so happy because he has so much money. But this is a definite story that I want to break down. So basically, I was watching one of his recent videos, and he was basically saying how, like he does in many videos, how like the more money he made, it didn't make him happier. Like he got tired of and bored of spending it. He didn't feel fulfilled still. There's all these like internal things going on. And then, he came to his own sense of fulfillment and happiness from his, learning about meditation and all this other stuff. And then he had this fun video where he kind of broke down what he spent all his money on when he acquired or he sold Twitch to Amazon. And that was a little nice fun thing that a lot of people wanted to learn about. And it turns out he spent it while frivolously, also kind of responsibly, but not really. What I mean is that he bought land, he bought a house, and he bought a farm, he bought pigs, and he bought like a bulldozer, which cost $70,000. And so I think these were kind of fun things that he wanted to have, but some of them turned out to be good investments anyways. I mean, land in San Francisco, I mean, that's a good thing to own, generally speaking. And then some of those things were just kind of frivolous. Like apparently it cost $8,000 to raise and keep a pig. And then he also, the first thing he ever bought after, he got the money wired for the acquisition was he went to a Prada outlet, not the actual store, but an outlet where you could get discount luxury Prada. And he spent about $3,000 there on apparel. And that's a little fun. Here's a little fun fact. You might not know this, but for many luxury products, they make more from their outlet stores than the real stores. And the people going to the outlet stores are usually not people who are rich, but people who want to appear rich. So think about that. A lot of these luxury stores prey on the lower middle class, not the actual rich, which is saddening and fascinating at the same time. Anyhow, what are my thoughts on this whole thing? Well, one thing he said really kind of stuck out to me because Ty Lopez has said it as well, and it was that he was happy once he reached $150,000 a year. It wasn't millions, but he could fly anywhere, eat anything, do what he wanted. And Tai Lopez, he says something similar. Now, of course, there's a lot of controversy about Tai Lopez, whether, but the point is, I think he has some good advice. And what Tai said at one point, he said this many times, is that he was most happy when he made over six figures, and that's just six figures, not millions. And that was because he could do anything he wanted within reason. He could fly anywhere, eat anywhere, and do whatever he wanted. And so that definitely correlates with what scientists have found researching happiness across the world. They found that there is some correlation between income and happiness, but that starts to pare down and drop and start to not correlate more and more after you hit the first world upper middle class income range. So that's around $100,000, maybe 90,000. But I don't want to throw a number because it'll change with inflation. But that's the general range. And so when you think about that, that's like not that rich compared to people making hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and the billionaires out there. And so I think that's really important. The words within reason, and then the whole idea about what really generates happiness when it comes to money. And what scientists have found is that a lot of those excesses, those things that are, not necessary but pleasurable to have, those are fleeting. And then there's this concept called hedonic adaptation, where it takes you back down to where you were before. After a while, you get kind of used to it, and stops being so fun and glittery. Whether that's buying a Bugatti, or buying a Lamborghini, or flying to Aruba, or spending money on a bunch of luxury products or women or whatever. But when you dig into it, well, why is there some correlation from zero to that middle class income range? Well, at that point, lack of money can cause a lot of suffering. If you're struggling and stressing to put food on the table, to have a roof over your head, if you're living in a third world country and it sucks to just survive because you don't have enough money to stay safe, whether that's from other people, war, political turmoil, gangs, drugs, you don't have enough money to pay for your health insurance, of course that's going to cause a lot of unhappiness. So as the saying goes, I've been rich and I've been poor, rich is better. That being said, while rich is better, it doesn't guarantee happiness. There are plenty of rich people who are also happy. There are plenty of rich people who spend on these external things, and it does seem to make them happier. And they will say, and this is a very common phrase too, to kind of dispute this, but they'll say stuff like, oh, well, if money doesn't make me happy, then how come I feel happier when I'm sitting in this Porsche? And they'll say stuff like that, or they'll just say like, people say money don't buy me happiness, but this car is making me a lot happier. What they don't understand is that it does help when a lot of your other areas are covered. And for those types of people, they're mentally stable. They've already developed these other core components of happiness, according to the science of happiness, that therefore, any add-on to that, they can appreciate and enjoy, and maybe even stretch out longer so it's not as fleeting. But when you look at people like Justin, sometimes they have that hole in them because they've never addressed it. And that's what you really need to address to really kind of shore up. Maybe that's a lack of fulfillment, lack of purpose, lack of strong friendships, lack of gratitude, lack of savoring the good. And there's a lot of strategies and plenty of these happiness books, Sean Akers' book, Sonja Lyubomirsky's books, all these PhDs and Ivy League researchers on happiness that can really help you out. I love Sonja's tips as well. I think they could really help people like Dan Bilzerian or others who kind of keep trying to find higher levels of happiness and fail to find it through external sources. Even Justin discussed this in the video where he was with his super rich investor friend, and they were talking about how they had met these super rich people worth $500 million, but they kept having this drive to get more because they compared themselves to people who were worth billions, and they're like, why am I not there yet? I must have done something wrong. There must be something wrong with me, or I need to get there before I can get happy. And Dan Bilzerian's talked about it in many ways as well. He said, like, since he's got a 10 out of 10 in everything, like luxury lifestyle, anything below that makes him unhappy in a way. And then when he made 10 million, he said, I need to get to 100 million to be happy. And then it kept going up because he just felt he needed more. And so if you don't really address this, then you're going to have this constant spiral towards more, and it'll never end. You'll just keep thinking more, you'll need more, which will keep occupying your time. And then when you reach it, you still won't be happy. And so some people just continue that sad treadmill for the rest of their lives. Others kind of get tired of it after a while and realize you'll never be happy this way. And so, I think, here's the thing. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't be rich. Definitely be rich. This is why I talk a lot about my content. It's about building